Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to my channel. If you are new, welcome. If you are coming back, welcome back. I'm so glad to have you. My name is Cassie, and on this channel, we talk all things of healing, self-love, and self-care, and of course, becoming your dream woman. And on today's episode, we are going to talk about why do you keep on attracting the same situations and what that means, right? Because ladies, let's have an honest conversation here. Have you ever noticed that different man but the same story scenario, or you get a different job but you're feeling the same frustration as you did in the old one, or you have a different friend group but it all leads to the same betrayal? And then you sit back at some point and you think, why does this keep on happening to me? Well, today we are going to talk about some things that actually changed my life once I figured it out. And this is all what these different scenarios are. Every scenario that you are going through in your life are lessons, right? And the lessons will continue to repeat until you actually learn the lesson that you need to learn from these different dynamics. So the faster you learn it, the faster that you will be able to get to live a more joyful and fulfilling life, instead of the life full of survival and heartbreak and thinking that your life is doomed, right? Because after so many bad moments or, betrayal and heartbreak and everything else that may not be working out in your life, you feel like, whew, geez, man, my life is doomed. Because let me tell you, I've been there. I felt that, okay? And I almost gave up on even trying to live a better life because I just felt that my life was cursed, to be honest. Because one thing I didn't realize is that every situation that I was going through was a lesson that I needed to learn from. I was trying to fight these things in my own power. I was trying to get these people to change into what I wanted. I was trying to change myself and fit into different areas to maybe be able to fit in better, to be able to get that job, to be able to do this, to do that. And it just didn't matter. I tried all these different things and I wasn't getting anywhere. And that's why I felt like my life was doomed. I was like, wow, I'm trying to make my life better. And, in my mind, I was trying to, but it still wasn't working. And these lessons aren't meant to be punishment. They're not proof that you're unworthy, but they are all lessons. And here is the magical thing of these. Life doesn't move forward based on timing. It actually moves forward, based on awareness. So it doesn't matter if you are 25, 35, 45, 55, 65, whatever age you are. If you haven't learned that lesson, the pattern is going to continue. Because growth isn't about age or timing. It's all about consciousness and what you are willing to see. So here is what I need you to understand. If you don't learn the lesson, God will send it again. It may look different. It may even wear a different face. It may show up in a different city, but it will be the same lesson, maybe even with the heat turned up a little bit more. So it could be a different man, but the same emotional unavailability. A different job, but they're still giving you a lack of respect. A different friends, but you're still being betrayed the same way. And we sit here thinking, what are the odds? The odds are very high, actually, when the lessons haven't been integrated. And this is the important part of it. At first, the lesson is going to be gentle. A small red flag, a little discomfort, a whisper from your spirit. But if you ignore it, it's gonna get louder. more tense heartbreak, maybe, more of a dramatic ending, even the painful wake up calls. Not because you're cursed, but because life is trying to get your attention. And unfortunately, I know we try to say that we would like to learn these lessons on better terms, but we don't do that, right? We won't learn these lessons until we fully feel the pain and fire from them. And that is why we have to go through these trials and tribulations in our life to really open our eyes. Because if things are just gently done, we tend to ignore it and say, oh, it's not important. But then God's turning up the heat and you're like, whoa, okay, what do I have to do here, right? Yeah. So, God will shake that table for you, especially when you refuse to leave it. And that doesn't mean that he's punishing you. No. This actually means that he loves you too much to let you stay asleep at that same table. So when we don't learn the lesson, life becomes exhausting. We're constantly healing from the same thing. We are rebuilding. We're even asking ourselves, why? But imagine if instead of just surviving these lessons, we actually master them. Imagine how much lighter that we can feel if we just allow ourselves to see what we need to see. Because the goal isn't to spend our entire lives learning through pain. The goal is to evolve. What we need to do to see the lesson? Well, the first thing that you need to do is to look and see if these things are being done in a pattern. And if so, then what you need to do is ask yourself these few questions. What is continuously repeating? What is triggering me the most? What kind of person do I keep attracting? And what feeling do I keep reliving? Your life leaves clues. Patterns are mirrors. And our bodies tend to know before our minds get a clue. So instead of asking, why does this keep on happening to me? Ask, what is this actually trying to teach me? And that shift changes everything. Now, hear me clearly. This is not about blaming yourself. This is all about empowering yourself. There is a difference. Blame says, oh, I'm the problem. Ownership says, I have the power to change this. Maybe the lesson was that you needed more boundaries. Maybe it was that you lacked self-worth. Maybe it is that you need to choose differently or stop overgiving in different situations. And maybe it's even learning to trust your intuition the first time around when it's that soft whisper instead of when it's the hammer, right? And so whatever those lessons may be for you, you don't graduate them until you actually start embodying them. And here's something that will help accelerate your growth. Instead of resenting the lessons, like, oh, why is this happening to me again? You start loving it. And how do you do that? You say, oh, I love this lesson because this is refining me. I love this because this is teaching me more discernment. I love this because this is actually preparing me for a better version of me. When you stop resenting the lesson, you learn it faster. And when you learn it faster, you move forward faster. So ladies, we cannot keep saying that we want a better life, but avoid the self-reflection that is required to have it. So if you want a healthy marriage, we have to learn those lessons that are associated with being able to hold that healthy marriage. Same thing with like emotional peace. If you want emotional peace, you have to have healed and learned the lessons that you need so then you can have emotional peace, because it all starts with us, right? If we can't do this work ourselves, then we are never going to be able to live a more fulfilling life. If you want to stop being heartbroken, you need to learn the lessons and become the version of you that you're wanting to fall in love with, right? So you have to become a different version of you in order to have these things. And the faster that you learn that, the faster you will grow and the faster your life will end up shifting. And you deserve a life that feels peaceful and not dramatic, joyful and not chaotic, stable and not consistently needing to rebuild after different relationships and things like that. Here are a few things that you can start doing immediately to help you learn these lessons faster. One is reflect after every ending. Instead of villainizing the person, you are going to ask, what did this teach me about me? Because a lot of this, it's mirror work, right? So the person is actually showing you parts of you. And it is so funny that we never truly even realize that. We may not like that thing about that person, but it's actually something that we need to change within ourselves, that that person is reflecting on us. And number 2 is journal the pattern. Write down every relationship or situation that you may have been hurt from. Look at all of the different similarities, and then you will see the pattern. Number 3 is stop ignoring those red flags, even those small ones, because your body feels uneasy when that happens. And that's information, that's data. Your intuition is speaking to you, and you need to learn to listen to it. Not trying to say, well, if I give it a little bit more time, or, oh, maybe they need to do this or they need to do that. No, we're not giving more time. We are not allowing all of these things to happen, because if that person isn't willing to change on their own, we can't make them. And then number 4 is raising your standards. Yes, sometimes the lesson is simply you accepted less than what you deserved. And that can happen very easily, especially if we've been in the survival mode, or we've been, through a lot in our lives and we just figured this is the way our life is. And that's why it's important for us to be more aware and keep track of all these things that is happening in our lives. And number 5 is pray for awareness, not just outcomes. So instead of praying, oh God, remove this pain, try this. God, please show me what I need to learn so I don't repeat the same pattern again. And that prayer changes your life. With that prayer, something actually shifts. You don't feel desperate anymore. You don't chase. You don't feel the need to over-explain, and you don't need to beg anymore for clarity, because these lessons actually give you the wisdom that you needed, and wisdom creates peace. And then suddenly, you're not in survival mode anymore. You're actually living more comfortably and more relaxed. So ladies, we all have our lessons that we need to learn here. But the faster that you become aware, the faster you will evolve. And the faster you evolve, the faster that you get to step into a more joyful, fulfilling life that you've always been praying for. So the next time that something painful, happens, instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Sit back and ask, what is this here to teach me? because once you learn it, you can level up and you never have to relive that chapter again. Now, I'm not saying God's not going to test you, okay? Because God will test you to make sure that you actually learn that lesson. So it may come back. And when it does, I need you to stay strong and say, you know what? This is not me anymore. I am not going to accept treatment that I don't deserve. You're going to keep your boundaries. You're going to not accept the disrespectfulness from your employer or whatnot just for a paycheck, right? We're not doing that anymore. I hope this was helpful, and I hope that you truly realize that these are lessons that God is needing us to live so then we can teach these lessons to our kids and our grandkids and just live a better life. So I love you, and remember, don't give up. Make sure that you are keeping track of what these patterns are and then healing from those those patterns. So I love you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.